Welcome to Illuminating Catholics, podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese. Together with Carmen Bauer of the Faith Formation Office, we will shed light upon topics of faith in the modern church. Our guests include Catholic clergy, religious sisters, and other experts in their fields to help us understand what's happening in the church today. We will explore issues, even the tough ones, and to find answers to common questions about Catholicism. Thank you for joining us for today's Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Welcome back to the Illuminating Catholics podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, and I am Director of Communications for the Diocese. Apologies. Carmen Bauer, our Director of Faith Formation and our co-host, was not able to join us today, and she will be back, so no worries. We appreciate all the feedback we've been receiving, and we're just really grateful that you are enjoying the podcast, enjoying the variety of guests that we are able to bring on the show. We're having fun as well. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are so blessed to have Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Sioux City here to provide mental health services for all in Northwest Iowa. Our guests today are Amy Jones, Director of Marketing and Development for Catholic Charities of the Diocese, and Legina Onlicker, Clinical Supervisor and Therapist for the Spencer Office. Welcome, Amy and Legina.
Thank you.
So this is very fun to have you join us. This is actually our third podcast with a Catholic Charities theme. We were talking about that this morning in the office. Your organization does so much and such a variety of things that it's all fresh content, and we're just so delighted that you're willing to come and share the story, and I'm sure there'll be many future podcasts because we have great ideas for all of you. So to begin, I'd like you to share with our listeners just a little bit about yourselves and how you came to work at Catholic Charities and your particular role there. And Amy, if you don't mind starting that off for us.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Dawn, and thank you for continuing to invite Catholic Charities back to the podcast. We really appreciate it, and we definitely appreciate you talking about Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a very important topic.
It is.
So I have been the Director of Marketing and Development at Catholic Charities, soon to be 6 years, I believe. And actually, Legina and I started at the same time. So
Good.
It's really fun to be thinking back a little bit to our start and to do this podcast together today. I live in Storm Lake with my husband, Dan. We are empty nesters. Our two children graduated from St. Mary's, and we have a daughter at the University of Iowa. She's in her second year of medical school, and our son is a junior at Iowa State. He's studying agricultural technology. I grew up in Carroll, and I'm a Kemper graduate. I worked in alumni and development for my college alma mater, Buena Vista, for 21 years. And then when it seemed like it was time for a change, I knew that I wanted to pursue an opportunity that would bring my faith and my work together. I'd actually given thought that Catholic Charities could be a perfect fit for me. And then in a true God moment, I call it, just at that time, the development director at Catholic Charities retired. And I actually remember talking to you, Dawn,
Yep.
in your office in Storm Lake, and the encouragement that you offered to me about applying to Catholic Charities.
Does that mean I can take credit for you?
Yeah, sure. So I interviewed then with Amy Block and the team, and I knew immediately that that was the next step for me because of the faith-filled mission and the programs and leadership and wonderful staff at Catholic Charities.
Awesome. We're so glad that you're there. All right. Legina, can you share a little bit about yourself for the listeners?
Yes. I became a therapist in 2010, and I worked at Hope Haven in Spencer for several years until they decided to close their therapy department at that time. And then that was in June of 2019. That I started working at Catholic Charities. Again, it was definitely a God moment where they were looking for a therapist in that office, and we're about ready to close the doors to that hospice because they hadn't been able to find someone, and I was looking for a really good fit for me. And my best friend happened to know of the opening, and she said, "Hey, I think that that would be a good fit for you." And I applied, and here I am. And so very glad to be here. Um, my role at Catholic Charities is as a clinical supervisor. So, in addition to providing therapy services, I oversee the day-to-day needs in the Spencer office and am able to provide clinical supervision to the other therapists.
Wonderful. Legina, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of your work for Catholic Charities?
Right. Well, I get to come to work every day and help people, which is always rewarding. But one of the special things about Catholic Charities is thanks to the generous donations that we get and amazing grants that Amy is able to bring in for us. I'm able to see people who might not otherwise seek services because of financial needs. And it's always nice to be able to reassure people that we can see them regardless of their ability to pay for services.
That is a wonderful, wonderful gift that you all offer. Amy, what do you see as the most rewarding aspect? Your role's a little bit different with the organization.
Yeah, I mean, really, my most rewarding aspect of this job is being able to share the good work that is done at Catholic Charities by all of our amazing therapists and staff and the help that they provide to others. And then, telling those stories, getting other people involved. We have so many, as Legina mentioned, we have so many wonderful donors and supporters of Catholic Charities that make our work possible. And to be able to kind of facilitate that blessing and to others through that generosity is just, it's very important and impactful. And I just love doing that every day.
Well, thank you for the work that you both do in helping others in the area of mental health and so forth. And we'll get into that in a little bit later. So we're going to pick your brains, and I see that Amy has volunteered to talk a little bit about the history of Catholic Charities in our area, in our diocese. And some may remember that there was a very different focus when it was first established in the diocese. Amy, can you share a little bit of that history?
Yes, definitely. So, Catholic Charities, as it is, goes back about 82 years. We were officially incorporated as Catholic Charities in 1943. And at that time, there were orders of sisters, like Benedictine sisters, that ran the social services that were provided at that time. Our origins for our work actually go back much further than that. St. Anthony's Orphanage began in 1908. There was St. Monica's Maternity Home, Good Shepherd, and Villa Maria. All of those preceded, and then some ran congruent to Catholic Charities when it was incorporated. We are definitely known, people know us very well for facilitating many adoptions over the years, which we did well into the 2000s even. We, as Catholic Charities, moved to our location that we are at now at 1601 Military Road back in 1991. Kind of the common thread throughout all of that history of Catholic Charities and those other entities is supporting children and families and supporting those in need through programs that share the love and compassion of Christ with them as they're seeking help from Catholic Charities. It was actually in 1959 then when we started and what's the true priority focus of our Catholic Charities today, which is providing professional counseling services for those most in need. That was started by Father Robert Keefe, who was in charge of Catholic Charities at the time, and he believed that everyone is deserving of the best mental health care, and really got the ball rolling on that at Catholic Charities.
Thank you for sharing all that history. I imagine that took a little bit of research, so thank
It
you.
did. It's fun to look back at.
Yeah, it's fun to hear the story again. Legina, so you are in practice in the Spencer office. Could you share with us a little bit about the focus? It's called Catholic Charities, but I'm guessing you don't have to be Catholic in order to get some service in the
That's
mental health
correct.
area.
That's correct, Dawn. We provide services to both children and adults from all faiths. Within the past year, we've started expanding our ability to serve people who are on Medicare as well, and that's been really great due to federal guideline changes. Um, and otherwise, we serve all ages, children as young as 3 or 4, up into older adults.
And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong here, with the devastating flooding, especially in your area in Spencer, didn't you end up doing a lot of telehealth
Um,
appointments?
we did. We had, first of all, our telehealth services really expanded during COVID, when we were able to continue to provide services to people when the stay-at-home orders came. And then again, in June and July of last year, with the flooding, there was a bit of time where our office wasn't able to have people in it. We were cleaning up some of the water, and people weren't able to always get to us. And so we were able to do telehealth services then as well. And we do telehealth services for people who aren't able to come to the office for any number of reasons, such as weather or lack of transportation.
Uh, Building on that theme and lack of transportation or distance, do you want to share all the different locations that Catholic Charities has a presence in our diocese?
Absolutely. Our main office is in Sioux City, and then we also have satellite offices located in Carroll, Fort Dodge, and Spencer.
So if you kind of live in between those areas, telehealth is an option, I assume,
That
for
is
people.
true. If you live in between those areas, you can do telehealth, or sometimes we have someone that we're working with who moves, and as long as they remain in the state of Iowa, we're able to see them by telehealth. That's a regulation with licensing that we are not able to see someone in a state our license isn't covered. And most of us are licensed only in the state of Iowa. So, sometimes I have like someone that I'm seeing who's a senior in high school and they go off to college and they want to continue that therapy relationship and they're going to college in state. And so we've been able to do that as well.
Isn't that great with technology
Great.
able to
Yes,
make mental health care even more available? So that's
a lot of fun.
yes, technology has great benefits for us, and I do remember in COVID all of us trying to figure out how we're going to do our jobs when we can't be together. So that was a good thing that came out of that. Realize that
Mhm.
you could use that technology to help. So Legina talked about working with children as well as adults, and there is a new development at the Sioux City office, and in relation to children's mental health. But I'm going to let Amy Jones tell us about that.
Yes, it's very exciting if you get a chance to drive by, or we also have a construction web gallery on our website, so you can watch the progress. But we are currently building Angeline's Wing for children and families. It's starting to really take shape, and it really is a facility that we consider it a gift from heaven because it was. Um, the possibility to build it. We knew the need was there. And then we received a gift from Angeline Tom, who had included Catholic Charities in her estate, which got the ball rolling on our campaign to build this addition onto our Sioux City facility. And then in addition to that, we were able to secure $1 million BIRD Economic Development Grant towards the project and support from many other very generous donors as well. So construction is underway. It will basically double the size of our current facility that we have in Sioux City. We were really completely out of space. That was certainly one of the reasons why we needed an addition. We've expanded our programs greatly over the last years. In addition to the professional counseling that we offer, we also have substance use disorder outpatient treatment. We offer psychiatric care for those most vulnerable clients. We also have many groups and classes. parenting groups, women, for men, suicide support if someone has lost a loved one by suicide. We have a school therapy program and a program called Welcome, which provides immigration and legal support services for people, our newest neighbors in the area. And then in addition to our Families in Crisis program as well. So we have all of those things, which made it important for us to add space. And children just have become a larger part of our client population. We serve more and more children all the time. About a third of our clients overall are youth. About 40% in Sioux City are. So we know there is a need there, and there will continue to be. And through this new facility, we'll be able to have a specialized youth mental health provider on staff, and then also dedicated spaces to help them heal, welcome them. We'll have a play therapy room, a youth therapy for those that are teen and adolescent, an art room, and then so much more. So all of this is underway. It's a kind of a two-part project. So the new new addition is being built now. When that should maybe hopefully finish about October, and then all of our staff will move over to that new space, and then some renovations will happen to our current facility. And then hopefully everything will be open as it will be in the future, early on next winter, January, late January, February, something like that, and we'll have a celebration.
I look forward to attending that celebration.
Mhm.
So put me on the invite list. We will add a link in the show notes to your site and the construction gallery so that
Perfect.
people can see that, especially if
Thank
they
you.
are listening but not in the area. So yes, it is exciting to see that growth. There's always something going on at Catholic Charities. I can attest to that. So we mentioned earlier on in the show that it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so what would you like listeners to know about mental health and mental health care in today's society? Amy talked about prevalence of youth mental health concerns. I know at one time there was availability of getting good care, and we talked about how telehealth can help with that. So, Legina, can you talk a little bit about what do you want people to know about getting care?
1 in 5 adults experiences a mental health need each year, which is actually quite prevalent. Mental health needs don't discriminate by your age, your gender, or your ethnicity. Really, a mental health need can affect anyone. I think people in Spencer certainly learned that when they experience a catastrophic flooding. We saw mental health needs related to grief, and also experiencing trauma and things like that. Um, and often people are hesitant to seek mental health care because they don't know where to turn or are worried about what other people might think. Therapy is an important part of helping people recover from their mental health needs. And those can really range, like I said earlier, could be something related to grief or adjusting to a major life change, but it could also be a more serious emotional disturbance like a mood disorder or having anxiety, and we can help with all of those needs. Therapists are available not just through Catholic Charities, but there's other agencies as well. And therapists are trained to work with people in a culturally competent way, meaning to really understand where that person is coming from and meet them where they're at.
Yeah, I remember some past interviews, some of the therapists, or maybe Amy Block, your executive director, talking about in certain cultures it's just taboo to get that kind of care, especially some of the trauma some of our new neighbors have gone through. So
Right.
that's really good to remind people of that. We hear the catchphrase, and
Mhm.
I think it's especially in this month of Make It Okay. Make it okay to talk about mental health care and stop the stigma. So, Legina, how can we help our family, our friends, coworkers, neighbors understand that receiving mental health services is okay?
Right. Well, even in 2025, there's a lot of stigma that surrounds mental health care. People are often afraid to seek out care because they don't want others to know that they're struggling, or they think they should be able to handle things, or they shouldn't feel that way. And listeners can really help to stop the stigma in easy ways, such as just being available to talk about mental health care, not being afraid to ask each other how they're doing, and checking in with their friends and family, being accepting of their needs. One great way to really work on making it okay is to just learn more about it. And websites like makeitokay.org have just a ton of information that is super helpful when you don't know a whole lot about mental health care or mental health needs, to just read more and learn more about it.
I made a note of that. Makeitokay.org.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes as well, and I'm going to check that
Yes.
out. So that being said, Amy, so how can people contact Catholic Charities if they need some help with mental health
Yes,
care?
well, certainly you can call any of our locations. Gina mentioned that we're in Sioux City, in Carroll and Spencer and Fort Dodge. You can reach out by phone. You can also go on our website, which is cathchar.com, and we have contact us forms there, which will get you directed to the site closest to you. Also, and we have email, so you can just go directly to email if you prefer that way, and it's info@cathchar.com.
Thank you, Amy. So, Legina talked about it briefly in your introduction of yourself, but it probably is worth mentioning again if families or individuals are concerned about what the cost for mental health care might be, and maybe they wouldn't seek it thinking they can't afford it. What's available to them?
Yeah, so we never want cost to be a barrier to getting help. And that's why Catholic Charities is here. And we're here to help anyone, no matter their ability to pay. And so we take, the major insurances, Medicare, Medicaid, as Legina mentioned, but we also offer a sliding fee scale. And so, even if you have a copay that is more than you can pay at the time because of circumstances that are happening for you and for your family, we will work with you. There are clients who don't pay anything at all at Catholic Charities. We want for you to be able to get the help that you need, and not worry about cost. Know that we are here to offer that at what you can afford to pay.
Thank you, Amy. So, Legina, if Catholic Charities is not in your area, maybe you're listening somewhere outside the diocese or in Minnesota, or hi to our friends in Ohio, they're following us. How can people seek help?
Yes. So if someone is experiencing a mental health crisis, they can text or call 988, which is the National Suicide Hotline. In Iowa, there's also what we call warm line. So it's not a hotline, meaning it's for non-crisis situations where someone maybe just needs someone to talk to. And the warm line has people with lived experience staffing that 24/7. And that number is 1-844-755-9276. And for someone who wants to do therapy but might not be able to see us at Catholic Charities, a really great resource for finding therapists in their area is through the website Psychology Today. You can search for different therapists in different areas or support groups and things like that. And it really filters into what you might be interested in. If you have a preference as far as maybe a gender that you want to see or a specialty, and that can be a really helpful resource.
Great. We're going to have a lot of stuff in the show notes, but that's all right. It's best to have
Great.
access to those resources. And then, ladies, I didn't give you a warning on this, but isn't the 15th of May a day to wear green for mental health awareness? Is that correct?
Yes, that is what we are promoting throughout the whole diocese, really. We want everybody to wear their green, take pictures, post themselves on social media to build that mental health information awareness and the fact that people are talking about it. You can use those hashtags that you mentioned
Okay.
earlier, Dawn, the Make It Okay, Stop the Stigma, um, be kind to your mind. All of those hashtags are good to use that day.
Great. We will definitely do that at the Central Catholic offices here. So I just have to send out the email, wear your green. So thank you so much for coming and spending a little bit of time with us. It's so important to keep putting that message out there to better understand the mental health issues and the prevalence of it. You both gave some sad but important statistics. But thank goodness that Catholic Charities and other agencies and these other resources you mentioned are out there to help make it okay and stop this stigma. So we appreciate, again, your time and the good work that you do at Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Sioux City to help all that might need the care. And thank you all for following Illuminating Catholics. Do us a favor and hit subscribe so you can enjoy every episode and learn more about the faith. Thank you for listening to this episode of Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Follow us for more episodes on topics of the Catholic faith. For more diocesan news, visit lumenmedia.org.